بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتع فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. من بنده شرمندم محزون و سر افگندم، ای خالق بخشندم گفتی بیا من آمدم. واقف ز اسرارم تویی، دانا ز کردارم تویی، ساتر بر کارم تویی، گفتی بیا من آمدم. جز تو کی داند راز دل، هستم پریشان و خجل، یا رب گناهانم زیاد، گفتی بیا من آمدم. ای رازق خلق جان، پروردگار انس و جان، من مهمان تو میزبان، گفتی بیا من آمدم. من مهمان تو میزبان، گفتی بیا من آمدم. صلوات اللهم صل علی محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. اللهم إني أسألك برحمتك التي وسعت كل شيء وبقوتك التي قهرت بها كل شيء وخزلها كل شيء وذللها كل شيء وبجبروتك التي غلبت بها كل شيء وبعزتك التي لا يقوم لها شيء وبعظمتك التي ملأت كل شيء وبسلطانك الذي على كل شيء وبوجهك الباقي بعد فناء كل شيء وبأسمائك التي ملأت أركان كل شيء وبعلمك الذي أحاط بكل شيء وبنور وجهك الذي أضاء كل شيء يا نور يا قدوس يا نور يا قدوس يا أول الأولين ويا آخر الآخرين اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تحت كل عصام اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تنزل النقام اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تغير النعم اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تحبس الدعاء اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تنزل البلاء اللهم اغفر لي كل ذنب أذنبته وكل خطيئة أخطأتها اللهم إني أتقرب إليك بذكرك واستشفع بك إلى نفسك وأسألك بجودك أن تدنيني من قربك وأن توزعني شكرك وأن تلهمني ذكرك اللهم إني أسألك سؤال خاضع متذلل خاشع أن تسامحني وترحمني وتجعلني بقسمك راضيا قانعا وفي جميع الأحوال متواضعا اللهم وأسألك سؤال من اشتدت طاقته وأنزل بك عند الشدائد حاجته وعزم فيما عندك رغبته اللهم عزم سلطانك وعلى مكانك وخفي مكروك وزار أمرك وغلب قهرك وجرت قدرتك ولا يمكن الفرار من حكومتك اللهم لا أجد للذنوب غافرا ولا لقبائحي ساترا ولا لشيء من عملي القبيح بالحسن مبدلا غيرك لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك وبحمدك ظلمت نفسي ظلمت نفسي وتجردت بجهلي وسكنت إلى قديم ذكرك لي ومنك علي. اللهم مولاي كم من قبيل سترت وكم من فاض من البلاء أقلت وكم من إسار وقيت وكم من مكروه دفعت وكم من سناء جميل لست أهلا لو نشرت. اللهم عزم بلاي وافرد بي سوء حالي وقصرت بي أعمالي وقادت بي أغلالي وهبسني النفي بود عملي وخدت الدنيا بغرورها ونفسي بجنايتها ومثالي. يا سيدي فاسألك بعزتك أن لا يعجب عنك دعائي سوء عملي وفعالي ولا تفضحني بخفي ما اطلعت عليه من سري ولا تعاجلني بالعقوبة على ما عملت في خلواتي من سوء فعلي وإساءتي ودمام تفريطي وجهالتي وكثرة شهواتي وغفلتي. وكن اللهم بعزتك لي في كل الأحوال رؤوفا وعلي في جميع الأمور عطوفا.
إلهي وربي من لي غيرك أسأله كشف ضري والنظر في أمري. إلهي ومولاي أجريت علي حكما اتبعت فيه هوى نفسي ولم أحترس فيه من تزيين عدوي فغرني بما أهوى وأسعده على ذلك القضاء فتجاوزت بما جرى علي من ذلك بعض حدودك وخالفت بعض أوامرك فلك الحمد علي في جميع ذلك ولا حجة لي فيما جرى علي فيه قضاءك وألزمني حكمك وبلاءك وقد أتيتك يا إلهي بعد تقصيري وإسرافي على نفسي معتذرا نادما منكسرا مستقيلا مستغفرا منيبا مقرا مذعنا معترفا لا أجد مفرا مما كان مني ولا مفزعا أتوجه إليه في أمري غير قبولك عذري وإدخالك إياي في سعة رحمتك. اللهم فاقبل عذري وارحم شدة ضري وفكني من شد وثاقي. يا رب ارحم ضعف بدني ورقة جلدي ودقة عظمي. يا من بدأ خلقي وذكري وتربيتي وبري وتغذيتي، هبني لابتداء كرمك وصالف برك بي. يا إلهي وسيدي وربي، أتراك معذبي بنارك بعد توحيدك وبعد ما انطوى عليه قلبي من معرفتك ولهج به لساني من ذكرك واعتقده ضميري من حبك، وبعد صدق اعترافي ودعائي خاضعا لربوبيتك. هيهات أنت أكرم من أن تزيئ من ربيت أو تبعد من أدنيت أو تشرد من آويت أو تسلم إلى البلاء من كفيت ورحمته. وليت شعري يا سيدي وإلهي ومولاي أتسلط النار على وجوه خرت لعظمتك ساجدا وعلى ألسن نطقت بتوحيدك صادقا وبشكرك مادحا وعلى قلوب اعترفت بإلهيتك محققا وعلى ضمائر حوت من العلم بك حتى صارت خاشعة وعلى جوارح سعت إلى أوطان تعبدك طائعا وأشارت باستغفارك مذعنا. ما هكذا الظن بك ولا أخبرنا بفضلك عنك يا كريم يا رب. وأنت تعلم ضعفي عن قليل من بلاء الدنيا وعقوباتها وما يجري فيها من المكاره على أهلها، على أن ذلك بلاء ومكروه قليل مكثه يسير بقاؤه قصير مدته. فكيف احتمالي لبلاء الآخرة وجليل وقوع المكاره فيها وهو بلاء تطول مدته ويدوم مقامه ولا يخفف عن أهله لأنه لا يكون إلا عن غضبك وانتقامك وسخطك، وهذا ما لا تقوم له السماوات والأرض. يا سيدي فكيف لي وأنا عبدك الضعيف الذليل الحقير المسكين المستكين. يا إلهي وربي وسيدي ومولاي، لأي الأمور إليك أشكو ولما منها أزج وأبكي لأليم العذاب وشدته أم لطول البلاء ومدته فلئن سيرتني للعقوبات مع أعدائك وجمعت بيني وبين أهل بلائك وفرقت بيني وبين أحبائك وأوليائك فهبني يا إلهي وسيدي ومولاي وربي صبرت على عذابك فكيف أصبر على فراقك وهبني يا إلهي صبرت على هر نارك فكيف أصبر عن النظر إلى كرامتك أم كيف أسكن في النار ورجائي عفوك فبعزتك يا سيدي ومولاي أقسم صادقا لئن تركتني ناطقا لأزجن إليك بين أهلها زجيجا الآملين ولأصرخن إليك صراخ المستصرخين ولأبكين عليك بكاء الفاقدين ولأنادينك أين كنت يا ولي المؤمنين يا غاية آمال العارفين چرا تو ای شکست دل خدا خدا خدای چاره ساز را چرا صدا نمی کنی برای درد بی دوا هممون امشب برای این درد بی دوا برای از بین بردن این مریضی کرونا هممون دعا کنیم از خدا مدد بجوییم چرا تو ای شکست دل خدا خدا نمی کنی برای درد بی دوا چرا دعا نمی کنی حالا اگه دلت آماده شد از هر کجای این عالم اگه صدای منو میشنوی همه با هم خدا رو صدا بزنیم خدا 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 یا غایت آمال العارفین یا غیاث المستغیثین یا حبیب قلوب الصادقین و یا اله العالمین افتراک سبحانک یا الهی و بحمدک تسمع فيها صوت عبد مسلم سجن فيها بمخالفته وذاق طعم عذابها بمعصيته وحبس بين أطباقها بجرمه وجريرته وهو يزج إليك زجيج مؤمل لرحمتك ويناديك بلسان أهل توحيدك ويتوسل إليك بربوبيتك يا مولاي فكيف يبقى في العذاب وهو يرجو ما سلف من حلمك أم كيف تؤلمه النار وهو يأمل فضلك ورحمتك أم كيف يهربه لهيبها وأنت تسمع صوته وترى مكانه أم كيف يشتمل عليه زفيرها وأنت تعلم ضعفه أم كيف يتغلغل بين أطباقها وأنت تعلم صدقه أم كيف تزجر زبانيتها وهو يناديك يا ربنا أم كيف يرجو فضلك في عتقه منها فتتركه فيها هيهات ما ذلك الظن بك ولا المعروف من فضلك ولا مشبه لما عاملت به الموحدين من برك وإحسانك فباليقين أقطع لولا ما حكمت به من تعذيب جاهديك وقضيت به من إخلاد معانديك لجعلت النار كلها بردا وسلاما وما كان لأحد فيها مقرا ولا مقاما لكنك تقدست أسماؤك أقسمت أن تملأها من الكافرين من الجنة والناس أجمعين وأن تخلد فيها المعاندين وأن تجل ثناؤك قلت مبتدئا وتطولت بالإنعام متكرما أفمن كان مؤمنا كمن كان فاسقا لا يستوون إلهي وسيدي فأسألك بالقدرة التي قدرتها وبالقضية التي هتمتها وهكمتها وغلبت من عليه أجريتها أن تهب لي في هذه الليلة وفي هذه الساعة كل جرم أجرمته وكل ذنب أذنبته وكل قبيح أسررته وكل جهل عملته كتمته أو آلمته أخفيته أو أزهرته وكل سيئة أمرت بإثباتها الكرام الكاتبين الذين وكلتهم بحفظ ما يكون مني وجعلتهم شهودا علي مع جوارحي وكنت أنت الرقيب علي من ورائهم والشاهد لما خفي عنهم وبرحمتك أخفيت وبفضلك سترت وأن توفر حظي من كل خير أنزلت أو إحسان فضلت أو بر نشرت أو رزق بسطت أو ذنب تغفر أو خطأ تسره يا رب يا رب يا رب يا إلهي وسيدي ومولاي ومالك رفقي يا من بيده ناصيتي يا عليما بزري ومسكنتي يا خبيرا بفقري وفاقتي يا رب يا رب أسألك بحقك وقدسك وأعظم صفاتك وأسمائك أن تجعل أوقاتي من الليل والنهار بذكرك معمورا وبخدمتك موصولا وأعمالي عندك مقبولا حتى تكون أعمالي وأورادي كلها وردا واحدا وحالي في خدمتك سرمدا يا سيدي يا من عليه معولي يا من إليه شكوت أحوالي يا رب يا رب قو على خدمتك جوارحي واشدد على العزيمة جوانحي وهب لي الجد في خشيتك والدوام في الاتصال بخدمتك حتى أصرح إليك في ميادين السابقين وأسرع إليك في البارزين واشتاق إلى قربك في المشتاقين وأدنو منك دنو المخلصين وأخافك مخافة الموقنين واجتمع في جوارك مع المؤمنين اللهم ومن أرادني بالسوء فأرده ومن كادني فكيد واجعلني من أحسن عبيدك نصيبا عندك وأقربهم منزلة منك وأخصهم زلفة لديك فإنه لا ينال ذلك إلا بفضلك وجد لي بجودك واعطف علي بمجدك واحفظني برحمتك واجعل لساني بذكرك لهجاب وقلبي بحبك متيما ومن علي بحسن إجابتك وأقل لي أثرتي واغفر زلتي فإنك قضيت على عبادك بعبادتك وأمرتهم بدعائك وزمنت لهم الإجابة فإليك يا رب نسبت وجهي وإليك يا رب مددت يدي فبعزتك استجب لي دعائي وبلغني مناي ولا تقطع من فضلك رجائي واكفني شر الجن والإنس من أعدائي يا سريع الرزاق يا سريع الرزاق يا سريع اغفر لمن لا يملك إلا الدعاء فإنك فعال لما تشاء يا من اسمه دواء وذكره شفاء وطاعته ارحم من رأس ماله الرجاء وسلامه البكاء يا سابق النعم يا دافع يا نور المستوحشين في الظلم يا عالما لا يعلم صل على محمد وآل محمد وافعل بما أنت أهله وصلى الله على رسوله والأئمة الميامين من آله وسلم تسليما كثيرا. اللهم اجعل عواقب أمورنا خيرا.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، حبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا، سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم وآل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين، لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين، صاحب العصر والزمان، خليفة الرحمن، إمام الإنس والجان، ولعن الله أعداهم أجمعين إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله وقوله الحق. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الذين جاهدوا فينا لنهدينهم سبلنا وإن الله لمع المحسنين. صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. I first of all want to send my congratulations and my mubarak and tabrik to all of you, my beloved Afghani brothers and sisters in the Afghani community there here in Toronto. It would have been such an honor for me to have been there in person with all of you, celebrating together and having some of that beautiful Afghani naan and some chai and some fruits. But unfortunately, we live in a different era, a new normal. And so while we are in our respective homes and our masajid are closed, we're still finding a way through technology to be together during these beautiful days. It is the birth of our Savior. These are beautiful celebratory days. And I send my tabrik to all of you on the birth and the waladat ba-sa'adat of Imam al-Hujjah, Ajallahu ta'ala farajahu sharif. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make all of you and your respective families amongst the muntadhareen of Imam Mahdi, amongst those who await, truly await the Imam of our time. What I want to do tonight and speak with you all tonight is that, a lot has been said about the Imam. His actual day, of course, was last week. But so there's been a lot online about the signs, about what to do in this pandemic era. And, I myself have now addressed several communities on this topic. But what I do want to speak a little bit about tonight is maybe not so much leading up to the Imam, but maybe after the arrival of the Imam. And I'll let you know what I'm talking about here. Sometimes I think that, maybe it's me, I don't know. Sometimes I think that we are waiting for the bang of the zuhur of the Imam. Like this event of the arrival of the Imam. When will the event happen? When will he come? When will he come? And while that's important and it's exciting, should be exciting for us, Hadith says that, intazar al-faraj wa huwa al-faraj, right? Waiting for relief is itself relief. When you have anticipation of something good, that itself is good. That anticipation carries us through the difficult times. But I think sometimes what we lose sight of is that there's going to be life after the Imam establishes his leadership. And that life, society in general, will look nothing like it is today. I'll give you an example. We have hadith that says that one of the things that he will establish when he arrives is what? Economic equality amongst the different groups right now that exist, meaning the poor and the rich. To the point where, a couple of hadiths, right? To the point where, number one, there'll be such a sense of brotherhood that if somebody needs something in the pocket of another brother, he'll put his hand in that pocket, take it out, and he won't even mind. Or to the point where if there is sadaqah or there is charity to be given by somebody looking for some person who is in need, he'll announce that, look, I have this sadaqah, I have this charity, I have this money, can someone please come and take it if you need it? He won't find anyone who will come and say, yes, I am in need. Okay? There'll be such a level of justice and equality amongst those financially that the economy will be booming. The crops from the ground will come out very fruitful. The rains will, everything will do exactly what it was meant to do. Droughts and all these different things, floods, all these things will be gone. Now that sounds great. But what we don't realize is that if that's the case, right now the ones who are the poor and the faqir and the gharib and the ones who are the beggars in this society, in this world right now, they will be given so much resources to come to a certain level. The ones who are rich and amir and comfortable have to sacrifice and come all the way down in order for us to reach a level of equality and justice. Which means what? That there has to be sacrifice done to those who are blessed, or to those who have more, who have access to more. And dare I say, if a majority of my listeners right now are from the West, we have it pretty easy, guys. We're pretty comfortable here in the West. Even now, during this pandemic era, right, where maybe even perhaps some of you are unemployed, laid off, for example, or maybe, you know, that you're not able to get out there every single week or every single second day for your groceries. I like to think your fridge is still somewhat full, your pantry is still somewhat full, your freezer still has meat inside of it, you still have access to food with your family and your community. The Afghani community is a huge community here in Toronto, and you know, the youth group is so active. They do so many great things in terms of charity work all over the city. I mean, you have access to so many things, and you truly are blessed. The question is for me, that while I wait for the imam and the bang for the imam, am I willing now to sacrifice my current lifestyle if the imam tells me to or not? Am I over consuming? There's an entire discussion on minimalism right now all over the West. That are we people who hoard? Look at right now what's happening in most places in the West, right? The hoarding and the price gouging, and you truly get the sense of humanity during these pandemics. On the flip side, you see giving and you see sacrificing and you see helping everybody out on both sides. But we do see people coming and grabbing, like, you know, 8 packs of rice and 10 packs of toilet paper, and, you know, making sure that I have and no one else has. That mentality, that culture of hoarding is not going to be present in the imam's time. So we're headed for a pretty big sacrifice. I don't mean to downsize your home. I don't just mean to empty out your closet. I don't just mean, let's say instead of 3 cars, now you have 2 cars. I'm talking about sacrifice in everything. Not only the actual assets that you have and the materialism that you live in, a way we live in as well. I also live in Toronto right now. Like, I'm coming to you right now from Toronto inside my home, right? And there is going to be a sacrifice from everybody. It's not just material. Sometimes the sacrifice is also fikri, inside of our mind. Maybe sometimes things that we think, you know, are halal or allowed or we should do. The imam comes, all of a sudden we find out, wait a second, it's not like that. Are we willing to sacrifice that? If the imam says B and we've lived A our entire life, do I think it'll be such an easy transition? Okay, fine. You say B, imam, I say labbaik to you, so I'll drop A that I've been living for 25, 30 years and go towards B. That sacrifice is what really we should be preparing for when it comes to the arrival of the imam. And that sacrifice does not start after he comes, right? Does not start when he arrives in Mecca, you know, in front of the Kaaba. By then, time would have been wasted, right? Time is passing by very, very, very quickly, right? The Quran says, "Wala asr," right? Asr comes from asid in Arabic. Asid in Arabic is juice. Actually, the word juice in Arabic means asid, meaning the squeezing of a fruit, let's say, for example, and the juice coming out. That's called asid. Wala asr, the Quran says, "Inna al-insan lafi khusr," that the insan is at loss when the time is what? Squeezing itself out to the point where now there's no more time left. Meaning Allah swears by what? By that fleeting time that's slowly but surely getting to the end of its life. Eventually, kullu man alayha fan, everything will perish. Right? And before that, however, everybody will be at loss. The only ones that won't be at loss, illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihat. Except for the ones who do good and believe, they are the ones who will not be at loss. So time is running out. The time is squeezing now towards the end of times. right? So many people, is this the apocalypse? Is this the end of times, right? Is this it with this pandemic? The entire world has been brought down to its knees. Everybody from third world countries to these superpowers, all of them are on lockdown. Nobody can fight this virus. And so yes, it's possible that one system brings the entire world to its knees. If a virus can do it, so can something else. So now all of a sudden now things got very real for us. And at least one of the positive things is that these discussions now are at least happening during this corona era. But the conversations should not be revolving around, is this it? Are there hadiths about the pandemic? What's going to happen tomorrow? It should be that, fine. Pandemic, no pandemic, we're still always in the state of waiting for the imam. And part of the work waiting for the imam is examining, is my life right now going to be the same life that I can live when the imam comes and leads? Meaning what? Meaning how much of a sacrifice am I going to make? And am I strong enough faithfully to make that sacrifice or not? I'll give you a very simple example. A very simple example. How can we start? You'll ask me, Sayyid. Let's start here. One example, okay? One example. One example is, for example, you are somebody who, mashallah, is very well off. Successful business, doing very well in your career, mashallah. You have a good sized home, comfortable in terms of your funds and your cash, everything, mashallah, you're doing very well. You worked very hard for your money and you're reaping the benefits. Alhamdulillah. All halal, all amazing effort on your end. And it comes time now for your daughter's wedding. These are very small examples, practical tips now. A lot of you are asking me, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? In this pandemic era, I'm at home, I have some extra time. What can I do? Is there a pill? Is there a hadith? Is there a dhikr? And I'm saying there has to be a different outlook right now on life. There has to be now a different outlook. Where am I going as an individual? Where are we going as a family? And so those of you who are well off, it is your first wedding inside the home. And everybody in the community knows that, mashallah, this family is overly blessed, mashallah. They do very well for themselves. And they're expecting a grand of a wedding, like huge, X amount of events and, lavish, over-the-top wedding because he has the money, he can afford it. Now, as an individual, where every eye is on you to see how are you going to now plan your first and only daughter's wedding. If at that moment you decide to be very simple and go back to the true teachings of the deen, where a wedding or a nikah or a marriage is not a luxury or nor is it an avenue to show off your wealth, but rather it is a necessity. And in fact, it should be a thought that, look, even though if I have enough money to give my daughter this grand wedding, there are people in my community that barely have enough to feed their families, to the point where when they see the grandness of my wedding, they might feel embarrassed to get their daughter married. There are cases I know, for example, where fathers actually delay the wedding or delay the marriage of their daughter so he can save enough money to give them at par this grand wedding that seems very norm to me. Now you, that's very wealthy and rich, mashallah, and you're doing very well for yourself, if you at that moment make a conscious decision in the name of your imam to hold a very simple wedding, and not fear this idea. Somebody might say, oh, this guy shortchanged his daughter. This guy had a chance to really send off his daughter in the most beautiful way. And he kept it very simple. At a mosque, let's say, with only 2 or 3 dishes, one event. Right? Very simple. At that moment, what you're doing is that you're number one, you're spreading a very beautiful message through your amal. Sometimes we think that tabligh is only for us on the minbar. Right? Spreading the deen is only for the ulama, or the speakers, or the orators. No, everyone has a role to spread the deen. It's a matter of what you can do within your environment to spread the deen. Right? If you are somebody who has an opportunity now, let's say, for example, to spread the deen, then you should do it. To my youngsters and my youth couples out there, I oftentimes say this, that if you are a couple right now who's planning your wedding, and you're on the verge, let's say, to have a summer wedding, let's say, or a Zoom wedding, let's say, for example, in the summertime, ask yourself, I always tell my youth in my center the same point. The first invitation that I want you to draw out on your wedding card is to Imam Zamana. You know how you have those fancy envelopes and you say to, and then you say, say Ja'fari and family, right? Instead of saying Ja'fari and family, say who? Say Imam Zamana. And have that card aside. And ask yourself, will the Imam come? Will the Imam come to my wedding? Because you know what? There are some people who give me their wedding cards, for example, and say, look, Maulana, I know you won't come to my wedding because there's music and there is mixed gatherings, but here's my invitation to you anyways. Meaning what? He knows already that someone like me, someone low and ignorant like me won't come to the wedding. Forget Imam Zamana. These are small things, changes that we can now begin to apply in our life such that when the Imam does come, he comes and then he establishes life in society. And if we have the honor of being that generation to see that life, then the transition from my life right now to my life under the Imam is somewhat seamless. It isn't that big of a sacrifice. Because sometimes we just aren't willing to sacrifice the things that we worked very hard for. We think, oh, the Imam will come, I'll fix myself. It's not that simple. Change is very, very difficult. And we have countless examples in history of people who had the honor that I wish I had to be in the presence of my Imam. We didn't see fundamental change throughout society. In fact, we saw the opposite. A handful with every Imam would be by his side. The majority would reject them or challenge them. Right? So in this era, this celebration is unique this year in the sense that we are not in our centers and we're not with our families. We're at home. Hopefully we had some celebration at home, decorations or something. We're dressing up at least to show that this is a house of celebration. If not, we're relying on online platforms to get the message across. But this is a very personalized internal celebration to the Imam, an ideal time for us to renew our allegiance and our bay'at to the Imam of our time. All that can be verbal. Dua ahad is verbal. Dua tawassul is verbal. Dua nudba is verbal. And those things are important, no doubt. But let's back up the verbal proclamation with a change in the way that we live our life today. If right now this pandemic is not shaking us at our core, I don't know what will. And sometimes those of us who are asking ourselves, is this God? Is this adab? Is this bala? Is this punishment? Is this a test? We can sit there and we can analyze all we want and we'll have 1,000 different answers. But one thing that we have to stop and think about is, what does God want me to accomplish during these new normal days? These days will not come. These days won't last forever. The pandemic will be over and life will go back to normal. The question is, how normal or how different will you and I be? All in the wake of our Imam. All of it is to prepare myself for the Imam. Right? I just want to be beside him. We know from hadith, when he enters Kufa, I mentioned this hadith before, when he enters Kufa to establish his government's headquarters will be in Kufa. The capital of his government, just like his Jad Imam Ali alayhi salam, will be in Kufa. Now why that is, different story altogether. But not all the Kufins, even in this era, will accept the Imam. No. There'll be some resistance. We don't want you to come and preach to us. Go back to where you came from, the hadith says. Why? How can you not welcome the Imam? You're a Shia. How can you not welcome the Imam? Because they know that the Imams of the Ahlul Bayt have always come to challenge social norms and to establish the norms of Islam. And when that society and its norms have moved away from the norms of Islam, there's going to be a huge fundamental shift in the entire fabric of society. And are we willing to take part in that change or not? Forget when the Imam comes, let's start that change right now. A lot of you are very active on social media, Instagram accounts, for example. Are you willing to sacrifice the content on your social media to promote the Imam's message? Or are they all makeup videos or TikTok videos or just videos of you pulling pranks, let's say, for example, right? I don't know, whatever you use your social media for, are you willing to sit down and say, look, I have this platform, I have a following, X amount of people subscribe to my YouTube channel, what content can I put on my social media? Such that when people follow me and they look through my feed, they see positive, hopeful signs in this era of anxiety, fear, and the unknown. These are changes we can apply now, guys. These are things we can do now, all in the niyat that I'm truly preparing for the Imam, right? There's no overnight pill. There's no one verse of the Quran. There's no one surah or one dua that poof, all of a sudden now will convert us into now being a helper or an aide or a waiter or the one who is now waiting for the imam. It is a meticulous change in our lifestyle, in our worldview, and how we see ourselves. And sometimes this jolt that we have and this seclusion that we have is vital for us to look at that. I mentioned before seclusion sometimes, what's called khalwat in Farsi, right? Khalwat zahiri, khalwat batini. I talked about that in Houston a couple of nights ago. Khalwat zahiri, this external seclusion. Khalwat batini, this internal seclusion, right? Sometimes when we are secluded from the outside, that triggers an internal seclusion. Where if externally we are cut off from the jama'at and the community, internally we're cut off from the love of the dunya. We're cut off from fame and fortune. We're cut off from this person and that person. And all we have left is internally God, externally our families. And that should be a process that we welcome and not run from. We should be looking for silver linings in this seclusion. We should be looking for a path carving itself towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should be looking for the arrival of the imam in this seclusion. Let's not get caught up on conspiracies. Let's not get caught up on, I wonder if I can see him, what he looks like. All those things I get, curiosity, I understand. But connection with the imam, didani nis, as they say in Farsi. It's not something you see with your eyes. It's a connection, it's a irtibat that you make with the imam based on what? Based on the connection with the imam even though you can't see him. The first point I want to make tonight is that are we willing to make that change when the imam comes? It's going to look very different from it does now. Our lives will be vastly different from it is now. An overall good requires a sacrifice of all. Number two, the social norms that exist today that are very much everyday for us, especially in the West. Those social norms, if they are not norms shared by the deen of Islam, will be challenged under the imam's government, will be eradicated. Are we willing to remove those norms in our everyday life, whether it be fashion or social media or how we talk to a non-mahram or whatever the case may be? All that will change when the imam comes. Are we willing to make that change from now? If we are, then slowly but surely chip away at the various norms that we have today, be it music. Right now online we have hijabis dancing, for example. Right now we have couples who are lip singing, Bollywood songs, for example. All that now is norm to the point if you speak out against it, you're like, do you live in a bubble? Do you live under a rock? Are you okay? Right? Putting on 10 pounds of makeup is norm nowadays. If you don't wear makeup, are you sick? Is everything okay? Do you have the flu? Do you have corona? Right? So a person trying to hang on to the rope of Allah and the rope of Sharia, right, is seen as abnorm and is seen as somebody who doesn't live in 2020. Meanwhile, they're simply, they are a reflection of the life that will happen during the Imam. I don't know. I don't have that kind of crystal ball to know what will happen. But I do know that there are norms right now in the West that have nothing to do with the deen. And they're so norm that it's almost like if you don't do it, then you're abnormal. Point number 3 I want to make, and then I'll end with this, it's already been too long, is the fact that we have a choice to make. And before we would be able to make the choice between, we could have a little bit of that gray area between right and wrong, right? To have the best of both worlds. Right? But right now, things have gotten so extreme in terms of what's wrong and what's right, is that we have to make a conscious decision between either one. We can't have it both ways, guys. Sometimes us as individuals and families, we want to be a little bit pious and a little bit worldly. We want to be a little bit ukhrawi, a little bit dunyayi. A little bit in the hereafter and a little bit of this world. Mix it together now and alhamdulillah, we're good. So I'll do this dua on this week, and then I'll listen to music, for example. Or I'll do this video on social media, and then I'll share this post, let's say, on my social media. So I balance things out, so I feel better about myself. And that leads to a confusion, it leads to hypocrisy, it leads to a watered down religion. I'll give you 2 hadiths, iltimas dua. One hadith, both of them by Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam. The first one is that he says that the deen of Islam before the arrival of the Mahdi will look like droplets of water inside of a glass, where once that glass was filled with water, now the water has gone out, spilled, and there's droplets inside the glass telling us that at one moment there was water inside this glass. Meaning the deen will be watered down so much that the glass will be empty, but you look inside, yeah, there was water here at one moment. Yeah, there was a deen of Islam here at one moment, but now it's kind of gone watered down to the point where if you're not wearing this or wearing that, then, you're abnormal. The second thing was a dream that was related to Imam Hussein during his life. A person wakes up and says that, I saw this dream, I went to Imam Hussein, there was a flag that was cut into pieces and everybody was grabbing for their respective corners of the flag. Imam Hussein began to cry and said, this is a reflection of the deen of Islam status before the arrival of the Mahdi. The deen will be cut into pieces, everyone clicking on for one portion of the deen, thinking this is the deen, and acting on this. There's a whole flag left to act upon. Which brings me to the point that we have to be able to tell ourselves that if I want to be the true soldiers of the Imam, and somebody who represents humanity right now, then we have to be individuals who are okay with being distinct in society. A little bit away from the social norms that are destructive right now. Be okay with the fact that I won't prescribe to everything that's accepted right now in this world. Only then can we allow ourselves to say, وَعَجِّلْ فَرَجَهُمْ. I don't want to be like the people of Kufa, sending letters upon letters upon letters to Imam Hussein. When he does finally arrive, I am not beside him. Every time we say, وَعَجِّلْ فَرَجَهُمْ, it's one letter to Imam Mahdi. Please come, please come, please come. When he does arrive, I pray to Allah for you as well, that we're not the people of Kufa, where we leave the Imam when he comes. Instead, we are the people of Medina that welcome the Hujjat when he arrives, inshallah. We ask you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to accept our qaleel efforts in trying to understand your deen, inshallah. We ask you, Allah, in the month of Sha'aban to forgive our sins and those of our parents. And finally, Allah, we ask you, in light of the beautiful celebration of the birth of your Hujjah, to make us and our families worthy of the arrival of the Imam of our time. Thank you very much. May Allah bless each and every one of you. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.